So hello everyone and welcome to this Brunel Language Centre webinar. It's great to see so many people joining us today, this morning, though for many of you it's probably actually the afternoon, so I hope you've been having a good day so far. My name is Oliver and I'm the head of pre-sessional programs here at Brunel Language Centre. So I'm responsible for the planning and day-to-day running of our summer pre-sessional program and also our year-round English at Brunel programs as well. And I know there are students joining us today who are either going to go on to the pre-sessional or an English at Brunel course. So welcome to you all, and I very much hope to meet you sometime soon in the future on the Brunel campus. So I'm just going to start by telling you a little bit about the Language Centre, so who we are, what we do, and how we deliver our programs. I'll focus on the pre-sessional course outline first, although for the English at Brunel students, this is going to be relevant for you as well, because you will be studying the same core skills, and eventually your course will move on to a similar structure. I'll talk about how the course will be delivered online this summer and some of the fantastic materials that you're going to be using with us. We'll also talk about how the assessments will work and also how we can support you, the students, and also give you a little bit of information about what some of the students have said about our courses as well. And at the end of the webinar, there'll be a quiz. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute so you can get prepared for it. And finally, there'll be an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have. If you do think of any questions while we go through the webinar, please just put them in the chat box and I'll come to those at the end. Okay? Okay, so we're going to do the quiz at the end. All right, so please do listen carefully as we go through the webinar today. If you want, you can get a pen, paper, take some notes. Please feel free to do that. And just to let you know now that at the end of the webinar, we're going to go to this website you can see here up at the screen. I will put this information again at the end, so don't worry, you don't need to write this down now. And you're going to get a code to play. What you will need is a second device. So something like if you're watching this webinar on a laptop, then get your phone ready or a tablet ready to play the quiz. Okay, so you'll need a second device to write your answers on, and you'll see the questions on the main screen. Okay, and the lucky winners, 3 of you, will share £50 worth of Amazon vouchers. Okay, so if that's not an incentive to listen carefully, I don't know what is. Okay, so I'm just going to give everyone about a minute just to read a little bit about Brunel Language Centre and who we are and what we offer. So the overall message, the summary is, we pride ourselves on the provision of quality English courses, which are specific for the needs of students like yourselves going on to degree programs at university. And although we are online at the moment, we still will guarantee the same number of contact face-to-face teaching hours we would have in an on-campus context. So that's 19 hours of live online face-to-face teaching. Yeah, so you'll be in a online classroom You'll be sharing your webcam, so you'll be able to see the other students in the room. The teacher will be there, of course. So we're trying to recreate the face-to-face classroom as much as is possible, right, in an online context. Okay, so 19 hours of live face-to-face online teaching. That's the same as the number of hours we would teach on campus. Okay. So I think I'll just start by introducing you to our team and where we are based on the campus. So this is our location on the Brunel campus. So we're based in the Russell building, close to the Eastern Gateway. Here are some of our amazing teaching team. There are more who are joining us as well, of course, for the new intakes. And here's the management and operations team. So you can see my colleague Sally Trevor, the director of the Language Centre there, David Jones, who runs the academic programs, and Pascal, who is head of our languages, along with Yasser and his admin team. So this is just an example of some of our induction materials. So here you'll be able to find out a little bit about the course. So we've got an introduction to the academic course, some of the different modules that you'll study with us. And you can even meet the teachers. So we have interviews with teachers on some of our other programs. And once you come in for your 6-week course or your English at Brunel course, we'll have an interview with your teachers so you can get to know them a little bit before you join the course. Okay. Right, let's move on to how our course is structured then. As I mentioned before, for the students joining us on the 6-week pre-sessional, this is how your course is structured. For the English at Brunel students, again, you'll be following these same skills. The structure will be slightly different, but you will move on to, towards the end of your course with us, a similar structured course. So it's relevant, I hope, for everyone here. Okay, so if we just go through this together then, if you sort of look down the middle of the screen here, you've got the 4 main skills that we're looking at, so, and how those are divided into different areas or sub-skills. So for example, with the writing, you can see here it's divided between academic writing, so the focus on essays, the structure of essays, the typical language and content of an academic essay. And you'll see if you look to the right-hand side, you can see how this is assessed. So you have, at the end of the course, you write an essay under timed conditions. I'll talk a little bit more about assessments a little bit later on in the webinar. Okay, but this is just to give you an overall picture of how this course is structured. So you'll see also then for writing, we do research skills as well. So you'll notice that these different skills areas are very much focused on academic skills necessary for success in higher education, whether it's in the UK or anywhere. So research skills, obviously that's a core skill. And for this, again, if you look to the right-hand side, you'll see that this is assessed through a piece of coursework, a researched essay. And together, those would comprise 25% of your final score. Speaking, just for the 6-week students joining us, we do, of course, do lots of small group discussion in the classes, but there's not going to be a separate seminar assessment. This is more for the longer courses, but you will still be doing a lot of speaking in class, small group work, seminar skills, discussion skills. So we'll do those in the classes, of course, so you can improve your confidence speaking English and learn some new language that you can use in academic discussions. the main focus of your speaking will be on presentation skills. So again, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail later on in the webinar, okay? But you can see that at the end of the course, the presentation will comprise, again, 25% of the final grade. So it's 25% for each core skills area. And then we've got listening. So I'll show you some of our listening resources that we use on the course. Lecture skills, academic listening skills. And then with reading, again, we look at the different strategies that you need to read effectively. So it could be longer academic texts, or it could just be improving your reading speed. And of course, we look at vocabulary as well, which is a real core area of being, you know, an effective reader, effective listener, is to have a good core academic vocabulary. So we'll look at that as well. And then there'll also be a subject-specific element to the course. So, for example, if you're going on to a business degree, after you complete your pre-sessional English at Brunel course, there'll be some subject-specific classes where you'll be grouped with students doing a different degree program. So that's really nice to meet students who you might be studying with in your follow-on degree, and also just to study some lessons which are a little bit more closely related to that specific discipline. Okay, so that's the structure of the course. One final thing to mention here is just on the left-hand side, where you can see something called critical thinking. This is not actually a separate component, it's not a separate module, but it's a very important academic skill which we hope to improve with you during your course here. It basically underpins all academic life. It's about approaching your work with an analytical mind, questioning what you're reading, questioning what you're learning, evaluating things. So it's a very important aspect of doing well at university. So we will look at really developing that in all of the skills areas that you study with us. Okay, so that's the course overview. So as I said, if you've got any questions about these, please do put them in the chat box. Some of them might be answered as we go through though. Okay, I'd like to talk now a little bit about how we deliver the course, because of course at the moment it's all online. So for the classes, we'll be using a web conferencing platform. It won't be the one we're using for this webinar, okay? It will be a platform which is much better designed for teaching, okay, and interactive teaching and learning. So once you're registered with your Brunel account, you'll have access to something called Microsoft Teams. I don't know if anyone's used it before, but with Teams, you'll be able to see all of your classmates, see their video. The teacher will be sharing slides, and you will also be able to interact in the lesson, of course. There's a chat box. You can be put into small groups, pair work. You can write on the slides. So there's a lot of different options for using this. As I said, it's, in case you missed it, it's 19 hours of live online face-to-face teaching then, using one of these platforms. And you'll have two teachers as well. You have a main group teacher who teach you from Monday to Wednesdays, and then you'll get another teacher come in for Thursday, Fridays. And we generally divide the week. Monday to Wednesday is a little bit more focused on the writing, reading, research aspect of the course. And then for Thursday, Friday, more on the listening and speaking elements. Although in every lesson, you know, there's variety, of course. You don't just do writing in a writing lesson. There's discussion. There might be a little bit of reading or listening at the beginning. So the lessons are very varied in the way they're structured. And we've got a lot of experience teaching online. We've been teaching, the Language Centre has actually been teaching some courses online for about 3 years now. So our teachers are very experienced in online delivery as well. Okay, so it's serious academic content, but we also try and make it as fun as possible. Learning should be fun to be effective. So we bring in things like online quizzes, collaborative activities, team-based activities to make it as engaging as possible. And we even have guest sessions by Brunel lecturers. So of course we're part of Brunel University. We're based on the campus, and we work very closely with colleagues from other departments. So we have guest lectures by some Brunel professors who may be lecturing you when you move on to your follow-on degree. We sometimes have external speakers and sessions by other professional services within the university. So just this week, with my 16 and 12-week students, the library just delivered a virtual database session where they're talking about how to use the library resources for research. So we've got a wide range of class materials, self-study resources, and many of those are developed in-house by colleagues at Brunel Language Centre, because of course we know our students best, and what your needs are, and in many cases we try and use as authentic as possible materials to prepare you as effectively as we can for your degree programs. So I will show you some of these materials now, just so you have an idea about how a lesson might be structured and how you access your materials, and what sort of topics that you might be studying. Okay, so we use, for example, an e-coursebook. Okay, so it's called Pathways 3. It's by National Geographic Cengage Publishers. And it's a listening and speaking coursebook, because feedback from students is often listening is sometimes an area that they find difficult, and also just building up those speaking skills, that confidence, so you feel that you can really fully engage in your classes when you go on to your degrees. So for example, in this book there are speaking sections. This is about statistics. So a lot of these will actually help you, for example, in your presentation, where you might refer to statistics. You can listen. All the audio, all the video is embedded in the coursebook, and you receive one of these as part of your course. Okay, so you receive a digital coursebook that you can use in your classes. Okay, the screenshot you can see here on the PowerPoint is an example of one of our in-house materials. So two of my colleagues, Andrew and Mandy, have been working very hard on online listening resources for the students. And remember, these you'll be doing these in the class with the teacher and the students across those 19 hours of study. Okay, so you might not be able to see it this well from the slide, but it starts, there's usually some sort of speaking activity to generate interest in the topic, get you thinking about the topic. Then there are vocabulary activities to help prepare you for the listening. And then the lectures themselves have actually been recorded with Brunel lecturers. So Andrew and Mandy have been working with colleagues across the university to put together these resources. And I think what I will just say about listening is that sometimes people think that just listening more and more, that will automatically improve your listening skills. But actually that's not right. You actually need to step back and think about what is involved in being an effective listener. So you need to reflect on why you found a certain listening activity difficult. And you also need to know about the specific skills involved in being an effective listener. So this is the main aim of these resources. And this is what you'll be working with on your listening in the class with your teacher and your fellow classmates. And of course, there's also a lot of additional study that we guide you with, which you can do outside your classes as well. All right. So that's just a little insight into some of the materials that we use. Where do you access your resources? Well, the university uses a virtual learning environment, or sometimes called VLE. The one Brunel University uses is called Blackboard Learn. So all of the materials for your classes, you can actually pick up from Blackboard Learn, and your teacher will direct you towards them. And some of them you'll be using in class during those 19 hours of class, and some of them will be guided self-study as well. Okay, so you can pick up things like your student handbook here and all relevant materials for the different skills that you do. Okay. And as I mentioned, we've also got the free digital course book that we provide you with as well. Okay, so once you're fully enrolled and your network access is up and running, you'll have access to Blackboard Learn, and you can pick up all your materials there, along with a lot of other useful information, such as I said, the handbook, and you can also check your timetable for each week there as well. And you can also use Blackboard to communicate with your classmates as well. So there's a group email function, a group discussion board. So we use Blackboard Learn in different ways. It's not just a place to drop materials in. So speaking and presentation, and so I've spoken a little bit about the listening that we do, the writing, the reading. Speaking and presentation skills, just to give you an idea, because those of you coming in on the 6th week, this will be your main focus for the speaking aspect of the course and the speaking assessment. And again, English at Brunel students, of course, this is very important as well, and you will be doing presentation skills yourselves in your classes. I think the main message really here from this slide is that there's different aspects of a good quality presentation and presenter. So these are all things that we work on with you during the lessons, okay, to look at these areas, to improve these areas. Because it's preparation for your main university degree. So we look at the content of your presentation. How analytical is it? How interesting, engaging is it? The organization, is it well structured? Does it have a clear introduction, central section, conclusion? And what sort of language can you use as well to link all those different parts of the presentation together? That's another thing we work on in class with your teacher. We look at language, so it's not just about how accurate your language is, of course that's important, but also what's the range of language. So I mentioned academic vocabulary earlier in the course, so this is an opportunity to bring in some of those academic phrases that you learn on the course. Pronunciation, some students are worried about their pronunciation, so we'll help you as much as we can with this. So it's looking at individual sounds at a more basic level, but also the way that we can combine words to make you sound like a more natural speaker. So pronunciation, another key area. And then finally, just delivery. So in a face-to-face setting, you would stand up in front of the class and deliver it. You can still sort of do that like I'm doing now. You can, you can share your webcam and share your slides. So you can still deliver the presentation confidently, lots of eye contact, that sort of thing. And also it's about the quality of your visuals, so the slides that you're using, as well as how well you deal with questions. So these are things that we'll be working on during presentation skills on your English course. Okay. And I think you'll find that will be excellent preparation for your degree program, where of course, you know, presentation skills will be very important there. I mentioned also seminar skills. We do a lot of discussion in class, so you will have an opportunity to improve those as well, even if you're on a short course with us, right? So let's talk a little bit about assessments then. So you can see from the overview how the different components of the course, those different skills, writing, reading, listening, speaking, how they are assessed at the end. So at the end of the course, you'll do a reading, listening and writing paper for each of those skills areas. So that's online in secure exam conditions. But of course, we prepare you as much as we can for these assessments. So we have mock exams. This just means practice exams. So they don't count for your final assessment, but it gives you a really good chance to see what the assessment is like, how the exams are structured. And we give you lots of exam practice as well. When we get towards the end of the course, you'll be able to do this, you know, occasionally in class with your teacher, and also you know, there'll be papers available for you to do outside class as well to practice. Coursework is also another big aspect of the course. It's not all on the final exam. So in fact, 25% of the course of the final score is actually coursework. I mentioned the research project or extended essay. This is a piece of written work you do throughout the course, and there's a draft process. So at each draft stage, you can discuss your progress with your teacher, get advice, so you can produce the best possible final piece of work. And that's worth 12.5% of your final grade. I mentioned also the presentation you'll do at the end of your course. So as I said, it's an online live presentation. It's 8 to 10 minutes long, and it's on a subject which is generally related to your follow-on degree. Okay, so if you're going on to a finance and accounting degree, it would be something related to that area, something topical, perhaps something in the news at the moment, or an important area of academic study. And you can choose that topic and that question in discussion with your tutor, who will help you create a good title. And although the delivery, the pronunciation, the language, that's assessed at the end, you're working on the presentation throughout the course. So you actually will have completed the content and probably prepared the language and the slides, of course, by the time you come to the presentation. So half the work, at least, is already done by the time you come to the end. So you don't need to feel too much pressure, too much stress on that final presentation. Okay, you're going to get a lot of opportunity to work on that during the course. Of course, in this webinar today, it's a general overview. I don't have time to go into, you know, a lot of really specific details. But if there is anything you'd like to find out further, maybe something, if we don't have time to answer all those questions, you know, I'll give you the contact details of the Language Centre. And of course, when you arrive, you're going to get a full induction, and in the first classes, the teachers will be explaining this in much more detail than myself, and your teachers will probably be explaining it better than me as well. Student support. It's a big step, of course, making the decision to study a degree with an institution outside your own country, a UK institution, and of course an even bigger step when you finally come here to the UK, because for many of you, that might be the first time that you've come to the UK or first time you've been away from home. So we give you as much support as we possibly can. So in terms of one-to-one support, you have a tutorial with your main group teacher. That's every week you have a face-to-face. It will be online, but you have a face-to-face tutorial with your teacher, in addition to those 19 hours of face-to-face online study. If we're thinking about your academic progress, there's lots of self-study materials we also direct you to. So when you're not in class, there's a lot of materials you can still be using to improve your English. There's a full academic program and orientation before the actual teaching begins, and you'll meet myself there, and you'll also meet Sally, the director of the Language Centre, will speak to you then, and Yasser and his team will also be there talking about the other support that we offer you as well. So we have a very supportive, knowledgeable team, very friendly team, and you'll find that out as soon as you join your course with us. There are also meetings during the course, so each class has a representative and they have an opportunity to speak to me in a face-to-face virtual meeting as well, just to talk about how you're getting on with the course and if there's anything I need to know. And of course, when you finally do come to Brunel, we look forward to meeting you here. We'll meet you at the airport, bring you onto the campus, and it's a lovely campus as well. So in a nice quiet part of London, so it's close enough to the city centre to be able to get in quite easily. We've got very good transport connections here, but it's also far enough away to be a nice, safe, enclosed environment to live and study on. There's also a very active social program. So if you want to meet students from other countries, practice your English in that way. When you come to the campus, there are social events, class trips, that type of thing. But even online at the moment, okay, so we've got some social events going. One of my colleagues does a film club on Tuesdays. There's conversation club. And if you're musical, there's also a Friday sing-along, okay? So you can come and sing some songs in English or even in your own languages as well. Okay, so what have some of our past students said about the experience of studying with us? I won't read these out to you, but I'll give you a minute or two just to read through. Okay. Right, shall we try this quiz then? So there's some information up here regarding how to join the quiz. So what you're going to need to do to test your knowledge of how well you followed my webinar, how closely you've been listening, perhaps, you'll need a second device. Okay, so if you grab your phone, tablet, whatever you have to hand, you could even play on a friend's device. If someone else in the room has got another device, that's fine. Okay, so you'll need to keep your main screen open because this is where you're going to see the questions. And you will need to go to this website up on the page here and just wait for a PIN code to come up. So if everyone could just do that now, www.kahoot.it. And once you go there, just wait. There'll be a PIN code which I will give you to play the quiz. So once you get that code, just type it in and get ready to play. Select a nickname. Please don't write a nickname though. Write your full name, okay? Because if you win, we need to know who you are, of course, okay? So you can get your Amazon voucher. Okay, remember the top three students playing will receive a prize. You'll share the prize of £50. Okay, so don't write a nickname, write your real name. Okay, that's very important. So the questions will be on the main webinar screen and you answer on your device. Final things I should say before we start. You get points for correct answer, of course, but it's also how fast you answer. So if you answer a question correctly, very quickly, you get a lot of points for that. All right, okay, so that's one thing to think about. If you're playing it, if you're joining the webinar on your phone and you're playing the game on the laptop, just remember to go full screen on your laptop, just in case you can't see all of the question, okay? But it works very well on a mobile phone or on a tablet. Okay, so the code should be coming up soon. So here's your code. Just turn the volume down on that. Okay, very good. I can see people joining. Okay, question 1. Who is the director of Brunel Language Centre? So on your phone, you'll have 4 colours, and on your screen, you should see the names. So red, David, blue, Oliver, yellow, Sally, green, Yasser. Time up. The answer was, of course, Sally is the director of the Language Centre. Thank you for the 4 people who said Oliver, though. That's very kind. But I'm not the director. I'm the head of the pre-sessional. Okay, next. Okay, well done. So which building is Brunel Language Centre based in? Okay, sorry, I skipped past the question. It was Russell Building. I went very quickly there, but well done for those of you who put Russell Building. Okay, that was the first one. How many live face-to-face teaching hours do you get every week? Is it 4, 9, 12, or 19? It's 19. Okay, well done. Most of you got that one. I'm glad, because I think I mentioned it quite a lot of times. Well done, good. 19 hours. Anushka is leading at the moment. Right, question 4 of 8. What is the name of the academic skill you need to succeed at university? Deep thinking, red. Forward thinking, blue. Quick thinking, yellow. Or critical thinking, green. It's critical thinking, well done. Anushka is still leading. True or false? If you listen more, your listening will automatically improve. Okay, it's false. Okay, you need to think about, what is involved in being an effective listener. That's what it's all about. So that's what we'll be looking at on our listening part of the course. Okay, continue. Question 6 out of 8. You've still got a chance, so don't worry. Just get a quick correct answer in, and you could go up the table. What's the name of the university VLE? That's a virtual learning environment. Blackboard Learn, Whiteboard Learn, Blackbird Learn. Well done, it's Blackboard Learn to those 12 people. Okay, we are almost there. Question 7 of 8. What percentage of your final grade does written coursework account for? 10% red, 12.5% blue, 25% yellow, and 75% green. That's right. Okay, it's a difficult question. So written coursework is worth 12.5%. So that's written coursework. So that's your project, your extended essay. Okay, Juan Hussein, we've got a new leader. Okay, well done. It's the last question. Here's your chance. Which student said that their English course, I can't read it here, helped them adjust to the different culture? Okay, let's see how well you read about the student experience. Okay, it was blue, it was Dongqi. Okay, so let's have a look at the podium. Okay, so well done. Okay, to our 3 winners. Okay, you will share the £50 Amazon voucher prize. Okay, so we'll be sending those out to you. Okay, so congratulations to our 3 winners. Okay, well done. Okay, so thanks very much everyone for listening and taking part. We've got a few minutes now, still got a little bit of time, so we've got 10 minutes for questions, so that's great. So let's take any that we have here. So first question is, do we have a platform to study alone? Okay, yeah, it's a good question. So as I said, there's a lot of face-to-face study on the course, 19 hours, but we would actually recommend you double that again for self-study. So the platform would be Blackboard Learn, where we have a lot of additional resources. So with Blackboard Learn, you can pick up materials for your classes, but there's also a lot of self-study materials there. So they would be links to websites to help you improve your English and academic skills. There'd be worksheets there as well. There could be exam practice on there as well. So it's really Blackboard Learn. If you're thinking about a platform, Blackboard Learn is where you'll be able to pick up a lot of materials, and there'll also be, you know, our own self-study materials that we've created for you as well. So I think the answer to that question is going to be Blackboard Learn for self-study as well. Okay, and as I said, it's also an opportunity for you to work with your classmates. I also mentioned Microsoft Teams. So in Microsoft Teams, you'll also be able to collaborate with your classmates. So we'll do some tasks in class where you work in groups, and then you can communicate with each other on an alternative platform. So it could be Microsoft Teams that you do that. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Another question, how much is the minimum score that I must have to pass the course? So the answer to that question is it depends basically on what your follow-on degree will be. So if you're going on to a postgraduate master's degree, for example, it would be 65% in most cases. So it's sort of broadly equivalent to an IELTS 6.5. So 65% on the exam that we give at the end of the course. But it does depend on the degree. So for example, if it's an engineering degree, sometimes that can be slightly lower. It might be 60%. And again, if you're going on to an undergraduate, possibly a pre-master's course, again, that might be more in the 60% region. So it will depend on the course that you're doing, but usually it's going to be in the 60 to 65 range for the majority of students. So a question about pre-sessional course on campus this year. Well, if we're talking about the summer, I mean, it's going to be dependent on, you know, what's happening in the sort of wider context. Of course, with the pandemic, and at the moment we're not able to teach on the campus, although the campus is being prepared, of course, to welcome back teaching, small group teaching. So there's more information on our website actually about that, and you can also find out from the Brunel website about the arrangements being made for teaching in the coming academic term. For this particular pre-sessional, I mean, it looks probably that we'll be doing this online, and as I said, we prepared for online assessments. So be rest assured that that's, you know, you'll be able to complete your course as normal in September online, if that has to be the case. Okay, but it does of course partly depend on what's happening. If we can return to some face-to-face teaching at the end of the course, that would be great. But at the same time, if you can't travel here, you'll be able to complete the course from home, okay, online. All right. Something I should mention as well, seeing we're talking about online, is that as I mentioned, we've been doing some online courses already before the summer, and the pass rate for students taking an online course is currently at 100%. So this is very interesting. There might be a few factors involved here, but I think that whole idea of an online class and you know, the intensive listening that you have in an online class really has helped students whose listening skills might be a bit weaker. So they've done very well. So it's 100% pass rate so far. So that's a really positive sign about the online, you know, the online teaching and learning. Okay, somebody's asked about the amount of time that you get to talk to your people in your field of study. That's a good question. So if you're joining us on the 6-week course, it depends what course you're joining us on. I'm not sure exactly, but let's talk about the 6-week pre-sessional course first, because that's coming up. So as soon as you start that course, you'll find yourself in 2 groups. You'll have your main group where you're working with your class teacher on general academic skills, and then you'll immediately also be going into, in that first week, a second class later in the week, which is focusing on listening and speaking skills. And in that class, 2 days a week, you'll be studying with students who are going on to the same academic degree program or a very similar academic degree program. So lots of opportunity there then to meet those students, study with them. There'll be group tasks where you'll be able to work with them as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity then to meet those people. And you know, as you come closer towards the end of the course, you know, you start to think a bit more about your follow-on degree program. And you know, we'll direct you to the relevant part of the Brunel intranet, where you can find out about that course as well, and look ahead to that course. Okay. There's a question about fees. I think you'd have to refer to the fees are all up on the website, so you'll be able to find out there. Are the online course fees the same as before? The information on that one will be on the website. Is the Language Centre a compulsory course? Interesting question. I mean, it depends who you are, I suppose. Students who have a conditional offer, right? So they need to meet the English language requirement to go onto their degree course. Yes, it's a compulsory course, unless you meet the English language requirement in another way, doing another exam. From that point of view, yes, you need to pass the course to get the English language requirement. You need to go onto your degree program. We do have some students, you know, it's not just about passing exams, of course. You know, we get students who join us who want to do a course just to prepare themselves better for academic studies. Some of those students might be unconditional students who are doing this only to improve their English language and academic skills. And of course, you know, we would expect them to pass their course and engage in the course same as everyone else. But these students might already have met the English language requirement. Somebody's asked about the Brunel exam. Can it be given from the comfort of home itself? It's online, as I said. So for sure, by the end of the course, if you're still in your home country, you're going to be able to complete this course online. All right. So the assessments are all set up to be done online. We've got a lot of experience delivering online assessments. So pre-sessional exams, also external Brunel exams, they can all be done from home. Yes, in secure exam conditions. So there are procedures that you have to follow. Obviously, we've informed you fully about these during the course and help you with that. And then it looks like the final question here before we finish. I choose business and computing at Brunel. They preferred a 6-week pre-sessional course. It directly affects on my main course. Yes or no? I'm not sure exactly the detail you're looking for there in terms of the direct effect on your main course. I mean, if you're on a 6-week pre-sessional course and you have a conditional offer, yeah, you'll need to pass the 6-week pre-sessional course, of course, to go on. So if that's what you mean, then yes. Will it affect on your main course? I'm not sure if you mean obviously the English the English and the academic skills that you learn on our course are highly relevant for whichever degree you go on to. So if you do well on our pre-sessional course and you engage with the pre-sessional course, I'm sure this is going to have a massive effect on, you know, how well you do also in your degree course. If I haven't answered any of your questions as specifically as what you're looking for, please do just put them into, on this screen here, you see our email address, languagecentre@brunel.ac.uk. So if I didn't quite answer your question, or if you think of a question that you didn't ask today, please send us an email and we'll get back to you on it, okay? Either myself or one of the team, okay, we'll get back to you, okay? I think that's the end of the questions, so it just leaves me to thank you all very much for joining the session, taking part, listening and taking part in the quiz. I've really enjoyed speaking to you today, and I really look forward to welcoming you onto our course, either remotely, sort of the online course initially, and hope to meet you on the campus sometime soon as well. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to meeting you soon. Okay, bye.